Hello, good morning. How's everyone doing? You're all doing great? That's great. I'm doing good too. Nice to see everyone, even though I can't see you. But I'm gonna fix my camera there a little bit. Sorry about my finger in the camera. Yeah. Everyone had a great Thanksgiving, hopefully. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, I don't really care about Thanksgiving itself so much, but I like seeing family and, all that stuff. Good times. Little nephews, cousins, and stuff. It was a good time for me, so. But, let's move on to the records. Got a nice stack of records. I didn't think I'd be back here showing anything else until after the new year, but I kind of realized I had some stuff piling up, so I figured I'd come on and show some good stuff here. First up here, let's start with, well, actually this is one I don't actually love, but, so this is Neil Ardley, Symphony of Morons, I believe is how it's pronounced. UK jazz record on the Regal Zonophone label. Sorry about the glare. Regal Zonophone, which a lot of these UK jazz records are on. I think it's an EMI subsidiary, but this is from 1972. Kind of around that same time when Don Rendell, Ian Carr were putting out their stuff. Harry Beckett, all those guys kind of doing their thing. Keith Tippett. And actually some of those guys are on here. So Neil Ardley had another album called Greek Variations and something, Greek Variations something. I love that record, so I got this one off the strength of that. So not a complete blind buy. I did kind of know this a little bit, and I got a good deal on it. So, but I didn't end up loving this as much as I thought I would. I enjoyed that one quite a bit more. So yeah, maybe I need to give us a few more spins. The music is like UK jazz, modal, kind of in that same vein as the guys I just named. But I don't know, it's just not as good to me. I don't really want to say that because it is good, but it's just not as good as I was expecting, I guess. I thought it'd be a lot better. So it is a suite, and the first side is a suite of 5 movements, kind of played by a large jazz orchestra. Music's a bit all over, I guess, kind of modal, slow jazz, UK jazz, a bit more out at times, although not really out there. The B-side is poems, like 3 poems, poetry over music, which I'm not really the biggest fan of at all. So, it is what it is. Still not sure about this one. Gotta give it a few more spins. I do love the cover on this though, like, he always has awesome cover artwork on all his records. And this one's no exception, like, that's just dope. I didn't get this as stranded, by the way, this is just a sleeve I had laying around. Not a fan of Stranded in New York, by the way. That store's overpriced and not much change from good records. But anyway, I'm not gonna talk about that now. Yeah, Neil Ardley, a Symphony of Morons. It's okay. I need to give it more spins. Not as good as Greek Variations to me, but maybe I just haven't sat with it long enough. Sorry, take a drink there. So next up here, this is actually what we're listening to. This is an Azerbaijani pianist by the name of Zagif Mustafa Zadeh. The record is Jazz Competitions. This is from the late 70s, sorry, not late 79 to be exact. Very good jazz funk, jazz fusion, as hopefully you could hear it. A bit more out, great playing. This man also has one of the best mustaches I have ever seen. He's definitely won some awards in his day in some mustache contests in Azerbaijan, I'm sure. And if he hasn't, he needs to, because there he is in the back cover. Check out that fucking boss with that mustache. That is amazing. But the music is fantastic, mustache and all. I mean, great jazz funk stuff. Jazz fusion, very nice experimental. Hopefully you could hear this. On the state-run jazz label, Russian label, Melodia, there's a lot of this Azerbaijani, former Soviet Union. Well, I guess during that time it was still the Soviet Union, but now former Soviet Union countries. Music was released all on the same state-run Russian jazz label because there wasn't a lot of, music like that, so at least not that stuff. They had their own music, but that stuff was just boring and just sucked. So, but yeah, very good. So to make it even more confusing, this guy released 3 records, all titled Jazz Competitions. Luckily, they do have different covers and they are from different years, but still very confusing, kind of lacking for titles there, I guess, in Azerbaijan, but still, the music is fantastic. Can't recommend this enough. It's double LP, it is long, it's over an hour, I think it's an hour and 12 minutes or something. It's a lot of music spread out over two records, like I said, but definitely does not disappoint. Very cool, like I said, jazz funk fusion mixed with Azerbaijani ethnic music as well. So very, very good. Check this out if you can get it. Unfortunately, it's hard to find in the U.S., but luckily it's not too expensive, and you just have to pay to import it, which kind of sucks. Anyway, next up, sort of the same deal, also released on the Russian Jazz Run label. This is David Azarian Trio with Stairs to the Seventh Heaven. Sorry, I always forget. So this is from 1987, a bit later, but it's one of those that, you can't really tell. It definitely doesn't have that kind of same stale 80s cheesy production that a lot of stuff has. This is very good. Kind of more modal post-bop, less jazz funk as compared to the record I just showed. So this guy's from Armenia, Armenian jazz pianist, once again, both of them are pianists. Very, very good though. Definitely check this out as well as you can. This one was actually picked up by Mobile Fidelity in the US and released there. So you might be able to find the US version a bit easier. Red label on, the white label on this one as opposed to the red label from the previous record. But fantastic. Maybe I should have played some of this too, just to get a feel for it. But like I said, modal post-bop, very nice. Even though it is late 80s still. Music's fantastic, so check it out if you can. And then moving from Eastern Europe back to the US, we have Hannibal Marvin Peterson. I don't think it's his first record. It might be his first record. I think he had one before this, but it wasn't released very well. A Suite in Five... Oh, when I say Suite 5 Movements. Children of the Fire, sorry. There's just a note I had. So this is Children of the Fire by Hannibal Marv Peterson and the Sunrise Orchestra. So in his own group there. A very nice copy of this. Very clean. Got this from someone I know at a record show quite recently. Comes with an insert, I believe. I can find it. There it is. Very nice free jazz, sort of avant-garde jazz, mixed with hard bop and like Eastern spirituality. This whole record was actually, kind of dedicated to the children of Vietnam. It was recorded during the whole time that the Khmer Rouge was going on in Vietnam and Cambodia, so he kind of recorded and dedicated the whole record to kids of Vietnam. So terrible tragedy there, Southeast Asian wars. But yeah, really cool record though. Hannibal Marv Peterson, everything he does is fantastic, in my opinion. It does get pretty out at times, so if that's not your thing, you probably won't be into it, but kind of a private press thing on his own Sunrise Records label. So it is sort of a suite, once again, sort of the same thing as the first album I showed, the Neil Mardley, sort of a suite, and I think it's in 5 movements again, so kind of the same exact thing, except the music is completely different, a lot more free, a lot more out. All the music was composed by Hannibal himself too. He's also an amazing composer, if you guys didn't know, but very cool. Check out any of his work, I would say, but definitely this. This has also been reissued, so you can find it relatively easily. Next up here, one that's been on my want list for a little while is Wild Havana, self-titled, from late 70s, I think, again, 77, like that. Yep, 1977. Very interesting, sort of strange record this is. So it's Dutch. It's a Dutch group of musicians. Private press. Once again, sort of laid back. I describe this laid back, sort of jazz funk, with kind of influences of progressive, psychedelic, soul music, kind of using homemade electronics, Latin influence as well. Definitely a big Latin influence on here. But yeah, recorded by themselves at one of the main guy's house, so definitely kind of a homemade thing, you know, using, like I said, some of their own homemade instruments, as well as just regular guitars, acoustic, electric, flute, piano, drum machines. It is a drum machine record, so maybe that'll turn some people off. Doesn't really matter to me. I think it works great. But very cool, very interesting record. Wild Havana. I don't really hear too many people talk about it, so very plain label. It's black label. RCS is a label. I don't know any other records that are on that label, but check this out. It's on YouTube. You might dig it. You might hate it. I think it's great. Next up here, Compass Rises. I've wanted this record forever. Finally got it thanks to a trade with Chris. Thank you, Chris. You know how much I appreciate this, but thank you once again. Excellent modal type jazz out of Massachusetts, Boston area, Mass. But you know what? Let me put a little bit of this on because I have it digitally here, so listen to this a little bit. But yeah, fantastic jazz stuff. Like I said, modal. Sort of a brainchild of one guy named Rick Lien. I believe was his name. I don't know if he did anything else outside of this, but this is from early 70s, 1973. Fantastic soul jazz, modal jazz, just so good. He plays all the plays a lot of stuff actually. He plays tenor and soprano sax, percussion, bass clarinet, and he does all the compositions as well. So very good. Unfortunately, Big Al, where this originally came from, decided to put price sticker on the label. Someone needs to have a talk with Big Al because that's not the move, Big Al. But fantastic. I love this. Wanted this forever, like I said. It's on YouTube as well, so check it out if you want. It's totally worth the 40 minutes or whatever you're to spend listening to it. And another one that I got Chris as well at that deal is Jamey Aebersold, who, if you don't know, he was like a jazz saxophonist, teacher, very big teacher. He kind of that's what he was known for, I guess, just having his records and his books sort of being taught in the curriculum of a lot of schools and universities. So very cool, very cool. Internationally known, I guess so, very well known. But this one in particular is him doing more sort of improvisational teachings based off the compositions of David Baker. So 8 classic jazz originals you can play, so obviously it's what it is. Most of his records came with a book and the record, so you could play along, but all sorts of styles on here, and just fantastic. One of his better ones. He's got a lot of these, but this is one of his better ones in my opinion. Very cool. Like I said, though, mainly leading towards improvisation. Just done very, very well for like a teaching record, teaching tool. This is amazing. So, on Jamey Aebersold's own JA Records label. I guess this is the intermediate advanced level, so volume 10. This is fucking fantastic. I love this record. Compass Rises. Alright, just a couple more here. Lien Hinds. Moods. German free jazz fusion. I don't really know anything about this. I didn't know this guy at all, but this record is amazing. Excellent. Like I said, German free jazz fusion. Once again, that I don't really hear anyone talk about on the America Sound label, which under label I'm not really familiar with. So once again, a plain label. There's the players right there. When I first got this, I thought it was like a straight up fusion LP, but it goes pretty out. Definitely gets a bit more into it, a bit more advanced. So very good. Definitely recommend this one. This one isn't expensive either. You can find this. Unfortunately, mostly in Europe, but it's worth it. If you see it, pick it up. Or if you can get it, pick it up. Hinds, Moods. One I don't know too much about, like I said, but very good music. Same one with this next one here. I think Chris threw this in for me when he sent me the Compass Rises. This is John Shaw. More just very nice, kind of under the radar, modal, post bop, jazz funk stuff. Very, very good. Funky post bop jazz from 1984, so mid 80s, but definitely doesn't sound like it's mid 80s, you know. It's gonna be straight out of the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. Once again, sort of a private press thing, I think, on his own label. I don't know anything about this, so sorry. I don't really have much to add other than the music is fantastic. So both of those are pretty cheap. You can find this for a few bucks as well, I believe. John Shaw. I know there's one track on YouTube you could sample. And I'll probably end it off here with this one being one of the biggest, I guess, releases I've picked up recently. Fitting how we're listening to some Boston jazz, we're going to end it up on some Boston jazz. This is Mark Harvey Group in concert at Harvard, Epworth Church. So another sort of private press free jazz record. This is from 1972 on Bush Recordings, sort of his own label. Once again, very plain, just red label. But this is a great record. It's out there, so if you don't like out there free jazz, avant-garde jazz, you're not gonna like this. I think this is amazing. So to start out with, silk screen cover here. Very cool, very nice. I think it's supposed to come with an insert. I don't think this one did, but I really expected to, as these were probably released in very small quantities. But yeah, Mark Harvey Group. He only has a couple records. He has duet records, and then this one. So, like I said, very atmospheric, sort of free jazz, avant-garde jazz. He was a professor at MIT. I think he was a minister as well. Makes it more interesting. But the music just, man, it's sort of all over, but it has like these long, just percussive only moments, and then just out of nowhere you'll get like a burst of piano and sax, or just like a trumpet just sounding like a damn machine gun. It's just these guys were crazy. So mostly improvised from what I understand. They only had like a basic framework of what they wanted to work off of, and then the rest they just kind of left room for improvisation and just whatever ideas they wanted to create and develop, you know. I mean, it worked out really well because it doesn't sound like it's all improvised. It seems like for what it is, it's pretty cohesive, even though, you know, it's not really cohesive at all, if that makes sense. Not really disjointed in that way. Very good. I think kind of all, from what I read, this was all recorded basically in the dark. I guess a lot of the shows they played back then, at least I guess in the Boston area, I don't know if this was all over, but they just played with like 1 or 2 candles by candlelight, and then the rest was just all in the dark, just doing their thing, you know. Which just sounds amazing to me. Probably was crazy spooky, and just to add more to the atmospheric music of it all. Very good. I don't know, just check it out if you can. I know some of this is on YouTube. Yeah, Mark Harvey Group in concert in Harvard at Epworth Church, 1972. Very cool. Not the easiest thing to find, unfortunately, but a really cool find. So I found this one before. I traded it to my friend John, and I'm glad he has it because he really wanted it. So I think he told me about that initial copy, and now I'm glad to have it back. So I know there's a set released about Boston jazz not too long ago, and there was some Mark Harvey stuff on there. So pick that up if you can. It has a lot of good, it has a booklet with a lot of good information in it. But this is just as good. Yeah, look it up. Mark Harvey Group. Anyway, we're ending off on Compass Rises. huge want list item finally ticked off the list. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for watching. That's it. I'm sure you're tired of listening to me, so stop it there. Everyone have a good holidays. If I don't think I'm gonna see you before then, so have a good Christmas. Give me comments if you want, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.